And I'm going to talk about the proliferation of women's sports and that much debated and discussed term, the Caitlin Clark effect.
One word to describe Caitlin Clark.
Amazing. A beast. She is the truth. There's nothing wrong with the resentment that you may feel towards what she represents.
Caitlin Clark effect is real.
An athlete reshaping an entire sport without ever stepping onto the floor. She is outshining LeBron, pushing billionaires to risk millions, and pulling a legendary brand back from the edge. All of it is happening from the bench, injured, forced to watch instead of play. How does that even make sense? 5 years ago, this story would have sounded unrealistic. Now, it is real life. And what is lining up for 2026 goes far beyond a stat line or a headline. This is a full culture shift, the kind that shakes basketball, women's sports, and the idea of how much influence one athlete can truly hold,
The most important sports story of the year.
Okay, ladies first, right? So I'm going to talk about the ladies, and I'm going to talk about the proliferation of women's sports and that much debated and discussed term, the Caitlin Clark effect, which is really an umbrella term for everything that happened in sports because it was so much more far-reaching. People are actually making a financial investment because it's smart, the numbers are there, it makes money.
The Caitlin Clark effect is not hype. It is pressure. And the question hanging over the entire sports world is simple. Can anyone slow it down? This wave is not fading. It is still building. Caitlin Clark is controlling the conversation. PSA just released its 2025 numbers, and people are still trying to process what they show. If you are not deep into the hobby, PSA is the company that grades trading cards and essentially sets the standard for the collectibles market. When PSA speaks, collectors listen to,
Your autographed Superfractor rookie card sold for $78,000. So how does it feel to have a piece of cardboard out there with your signature on it worth so much money?
I think it's cool. I mean, I grew up collecting cards with my older brother. I just wanted whatever my older brother had, and I would just take what he had. And like, if he got something good, I'd be pissed, and I'd like go tell my mom about it.
Their yearly rankings offer a clear snapshot of who truly matters in sports culture, and the 2025 report delivered one undeniable message. Caitlin Clark is now the most collected active basketball player on the planet. Pause on that for a moment. She did not quietly slip into the top tier. She did not settle near the top. She separated herself completely. She passed LeBron James, the face of basketball for 2 decades. This is a player with 4 championships, 4 MVP awards, and the all-time scoring record. Clark surpassed every active NBA player. The most striking part is how it happened. She achieved this while stuck on the bench. Injured, not playing a single meaningful game, yet still moving both the market and the culture at the same time.
Could be $1 billion athlete. Like when I see these numbers, I'm like, oh, this is Tiger in the tour. This isn't even Jordan. This is totally.
This is not luck or a short-term surge. This is a real shift in how sports culture moves and who controls attention. And the dominance goes even deeper. PSA released a full geographic breakdown, a state-by-state map showing which active athletes are being graded the most. Once you filter to basketball, the debate is over. It is clearly Clark country. State after state, coast to coast, collectors are submitting more Caitlin Clark cards than anyone else. The visual is stunning. It looks like a landslide election map, with one name covering nearly everything. The numbers leave no room for doubt. The map tells the story without hype. Clark also held 3 of the 10 most graded cards overall in 2025. Not just basketball, but across all sports, including football, baseball, and hockey. She is measured against Patrick Mahomes, Shohei Ohtani, and Connor McDavid, and still comes out on top. That alone is remarkable. But the timeline makes it even more shocking. In 2024, Caitlin Clark ranked 6th among the most collected basketball players. Respected and solid, but not dominant. 1 year later, in 2025, she jumped straight to number 1 while missing most of the season due to injury. Let that sink in. To rise from 6th to 1st without being able to play takes a level of influence most athletes never reach. Ryan Hogg, the president of PSA, addressed it directly. He said, "This kind of momentum is only seen with the most elite athletes." He explained that this is no longer just about basketball. It is about cultural impact beyond the court. When an athlete can dominate the collectibles world while watching from the bench, they enter a rare space few in history ever reach. You arrive at a level where the sport no longer defines you. You become a cultural figure whose value is not tied to active competition. Your name alone draws attention. Your image alone moves money. That is exactly why some of the most powerful people in the world are placing major bets on what Caitlin Clark is about to do in 2026. We are talking about millions of dollars from personal fortunes, all circling one major company, Nike.
People want to buy Caitlin Clark things, and they especially want to buy Caitlin Clark Nike things. Why is Nike continuing to wait so long into her WNBA career when you could have put something out last year and it would have sold out? It doesn't make much.
To understand why this matters, you have to look at how difficult things were for Nike heading into May of 2025. The stock had fallen nearly 60% since 2021. That was not a small dip. That was a collapse. This is one of the most recognizable brands in the world. A company that shaped sports culture for generations was losing value fast. Analysts openly questioned whether Nike had lost its edge. The brand that once set trends was suddenly struggling to keep up. Newer companies that barely existed 10 years ago were cutting into Nike's space. Brands like On Running, Hoka, and other fast-moving competitors made Nike look slow and outdated. The swoosh, once a symbol of dominance, began to feel like a reminder of another era. Investors were uneasy. Employees felt the tension. The entire sports apparel industry was watching to see if the giant could recover. Then came the Caitlin Clark signature shoe situation, a clear example of how far off track Nike's decision-making had become. Fans were frustrated. The demand for her shoe in 2025 was obvious. The market made that clear. Nike had a direct opportunity to capitalize on the most marketable athlete in women's sports, and they hesitated. Instead, Aya Wilson, the WNBA's most dominant statistical force, received a signature shoe first. That decision spoke volumes and only highlighted what Nike missed with Clark. Now, Aya absolutely deserves respect. She is an elite athlete and a multi-time champion with an outstanding resume. But from a market standpoint, the question was unavoidable. Why was Caitlin Clark, the biggest draw in women's sports, still waiting? The player selling out arenas, lifting TV ratings, and driving constant attention was not the one getting the shoe fans were asking for. Whatever the reason, whether production delays, strategy errors, or slow corporate decision-making, the result was the same. Fans viewed it as another Nike misstep. Another moment where the company appeared disconnected from clear market demand. For many, it reinforced the idea that Nike no longer had its finger on the pulse. Confidence continued to slip, and the noise surrounding Nike only grew louder. But this is where the story takes a serious turn. Something important has been happening quietly behind the scenes. On December 22, 2025, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, made a move that raised eyebrows across the business world. He purchased 50,000 shares of Nike stock. Put that into context. Tim Cook does not need risky investments. His wealth allows him to sit comfortably on safe positions forever. When someone with access to elite data, advisors, and market insight puts millions of personal money into a struggling brand, it sends a message. That kind of move signals confidence, deep research, and belief in something not yet public. And Cook was not alone. Elliott Hill, Nike's CEO, also stepped in, purchasing roughly $1 million worth of Nike stock near the end of 2025.
And I mean, she's the truth, and she was a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Knock down the three-pointer, get to the rim. She can get to the free throw line. She's crafty.
Yeah, very crafty.
Crafty. So sometimes she look like she's coming off for a three-point shot and she backdoors you for a layup. She gets her teammates involved. She can pass. She can shoot. Man, she is a complete
Think about what that truly signals. A CEO investing personal money into his own company is not casual. That is not driven by hope or vibes. If you believe a company is headed for collapse, you do not buy stock. You quietly sell and protect yourself. Elliott Hill did the opposite. He bought in. He put real money on the line. That is a public display of confidence that cannot be misunderstood. And now the numbers are starting to support it. On a recent business call, Hill revealed that Nike's North American business grew 9%, reaching roughly $63 billion in the most recent fiscal quarter. That is real growth. After years of decline and constant questions about relevance, the rebound is finally visible. The data shows momentum shifting, and people want to know why. So what changed?